Welcome back to Disc and Ball's Golf Channel, where today we're doing a drone fly-through of Lamar Park in Corpus Christi, Texas. Lamar is a shorter course and one of the most beginner-friendly in Corpus Christi, at being just under 2,600 feet for the 9 holes. Your disc says dirt tees, but in actuality there is at least one concrete pad on every hole. Thanks again to Third Coast Disc Golf for doing that. And with that said, let's get into the fly-throughs. Hole number 1 at Lamar is 315 feet with trees that frame your 2 lanes, your left lane and your right. Your left requires a right-handed turnover or otherwise straight shot. The right brings the stall into play if you try to hyzer it against the prevailing right to left headwind. As you approach the basket, you have a tree on your right, and kind of the upper right, that can block incoming approaches and potentially thwart a birdie putt. Hole 2 is framed by this tree at the start and generally prefers the low turnover for a right-handed player. If you throw in the backhand, this tree on the left can block your line, and this row of trees on the right is going to mess with any hyzer attempts. Sometimes you can go around the outside. It is fairly challenging, but my usual success is with the forehand here. Nice little framed area where the basket is. Helps to hold those approaches. Hole 3 is about 324 feet and again calls for a bit of a lower shot for the right-hander. And that's because these trees on the right side, particularly this guy by the bench that gets played as a mando occasionally, has limbs that come out and will knock down any high shot. On the left side, you're protected by this tree on the left and the bench and trash can. Just an assortment of things thrown at you. But once you get down this slope, the disc slides pretty readily toward the basket. Hole number 4 at Lamar is a very fun and very gettable par 3. Fairly short. You do have a line from the right tee pad, a little hyzer line around that tree that's made more difficult to get to with a left-right wind. But once you're past the initial tree, it's a straight shot to this backstopped pin location. The only downside is with that backstop, you might end up with some weird downhill putts for your birdie putt. Hole 5 is a very straightforward 283-foot par 3 that pretty much dares you to throw it over the OB street if you're a right-hander. If you're throwing the forehand or backhand left-hand, that tree on the left might cause issues. But once you're past those, you're pretty much home free. Leaving it short will result in an uphill putt, going long onto this hill, of course downhill, but overall not too crazy. Hole 6 is possibly the hardest hole here at Lamar. This first tree on the right, while small, will catch right-hand backhands put too far right. This smaller little shrub on the left loves catching forehands, and while it says 320 something, I ranged it at about 340 if I recall. This last tree on the right will block putts, and if you turn the disc over, you bring OB right into play in the street. Hole 7 is just a ton of fun overall. It's got right hand and left hand plays, both forehand and backhand. And while I'm taking the drone up over the top of this tree, the play is definitely left or right of it. The hole's main defense is the wind, which will take your disc if you expose the flight plate at all. And this tree on the left, less so the telephone pole, but the tree can obscure putts from inside circle 1 if you end up on the wrong side of it. But overall, just a super fun hole. Hole 8 is fairly short at only 239 feet, but it can be pretty treacherous around the green. This first telephone pole generally plays as a mando right to protect the number 7 basket, but as you know, in addition to being exposed to the wind, this elevated green area can make for some long putts if you go past it or if you end up behind either of these trees. Hole 9 has a weird mando in that this telephone pole here on the right plays as a mando right from the right natural pad and a mando left from the concrete pad. The green is fairly well protected, even though it's only 250 feet, by these 3 trees that kind of slap down ace runs and can generally get in the way for birdie putts too. And that concludes our tour of Lamar Park. My edits got a lot more elaborate than I'd originally envisioned. But other than that, thank you all for watching.